you doing? Sam again. Welcome to part two. So Detox. We're speaking about careers. We're still on that point. It's kind of career, but it's also career focused life. Um, in the last video, just to recap, we spoke about three things. We spoke about the history of our choices, the history of our career choices, and the fact that many of us may have made some of those choices at a very early age. Secondly, we spoke about jobs, I guess, work, career, and calling, and at which level you are positioned currently. And it's okay to be or to do any one of them as long as you know where you are. And thirdly, we spoke about the five things to look for in your career. And we said it was salary, we said it was flexibility, we said it was growth and development, we said it was recognition of the role, but we also said it was about your ethical stance. And as believers, the fact that our ethical stance is built on the Word of God and the example that we have in Jesus, it's so important that you factor that into your choices rather than, I want to be the best and do all of those things. Amazing, but model Jesus. So the reason why there's a part two and why I really wanted to speak on this is there are some things that I've learned in business, in career, in my life. And it's so important that I share them because I personally believe you don't have to make these same mistakes. You can learn from my mistakes. You can learn from some of the things that it took me months, years to master. And that can hopefully save you a lot of time, a lot of effort. But it can also stand on my shoulders so that you can be better than I could ever be. It's so important. Sort of caveat. I love the word philosophy because it comes from two words, the word phileo or philos being love or the love of, and sophia, knowledge, wisdom. So philosophy is actually about the love of knowledge and the love of wisdom. So in all you're getting, get understanding, but get that wisdom, get it inside you, let it seep in. Learn some of these career moves, learn some of these business techniques, and then go out into the industry and kill it. So, number one, it's okay to start over. Oh my gosh, the pressure on us to have it together. If you look at the lives of so many entrepreneurs, many of them didn't just wake up and just say, I'm going to be a videographer. I'm going to be a cinematographer. I'm going to be a photographer. I'm going to be this. I'm going to be that. For many of them, it was they did other things and they went down other routes. And they got to a stage where they're like, God, is this really what I've been called to, or have you called me to something else? But for many of us, the fear from jumping from where we currently are established into ground that we don't know can be crippling. But I really want to encourage you, it's okay. It is okay to start over. It's okay to say, actually, I don't think this is for me. I personally think that God has called me to that thing. I'm going to be bold and I'm going to step into that place because I know that God is with me. That brings me up onto my second point. There is always a bridge. Now, what is a bridge? A bridge is, I'll use an example. Let's say that you trained as a medical doctor. You went to medical school, 7 years, you did your thing. You believe that God has called you into law. But God, I'm a medical doctor. This is all I know. This is what I thought I was called to. This is where you had me. Does that mean I now need to forget everything I know from medicine and then, go back to school, do my GDL, LPC, and then go all the way back? No. There is a bridge between what you have learned in medicine and what you learn in law. I'll give you an example. What are some of the skills that you need as a doctor? Attention to detail, good time management, good communication, and good stakeholder management skills. It is not true that if you were to go to law school as a medical doctor, you would be starting at the same place as a graduate. That's not true. Even the way that your mind thinks, even the way that you perceive and know and understand concepts, you're not coming from the same place. There is a level of expertise and knowledge and experience that you have that they don't. You have the bridge between the two. Okay, God, now teach me how I'm able to apply my focus and my dedication to reading and studying, something that I would have had to do a lot in medicine anyway. but to law. God, give me the grace for that new subject content. And God, help me understand and create links. Okay, so this case links to that case, that links to that case. Interesting. Well, that actually sounds a bit like the vertebrate system and how that links to that and how that links to, you feel me? You're actually able to say that, okay, that can be that, whereas that was that was that. You don't have to go back to base and pretend that I'm going to forget all of that and go there. That's not true. There is always a bridge. Just pray for the grace to find that bridge. Pray for the grace to say, God, what skills have I learned here and how can I apply them elsewhere? But as I mentioned before, God, give me the boldness to know and understand and want to learn and follow you into the place where I know you are taking me, because I know it is my promised land. So important. Number 3, avoid career envy at all costs. The grass isn't as green as you think it is. Honestly, there are places where God takes you that is just right for you. But God, I look at my brother and, he's making 6 figures by 30 and, he's a marketing manager and he gets this responsibility and he's doing this and he's doing that. To be honest, this is more of a life principle, but especially as it falls down to career, because we have things like LinkedIn that tell us blah, blah, blah has been promoted. But he got promoted 6 months ago. They've been promoted again. And their skill set says teamworking and this. And someone puts a beautiful post at the end. It was such a pleasure working with ETC. They're the best manager I've ever had. There's no one like them in the world. Be content that where God has you is important. But at the same time, if you honestly believe, be triggered. Definitely be triggered. But let that triggering push you to look inwards and say, A, God, why am I triggered? And B, God, how do I level up? Level up because you honestly believe that you are not yet the best you. And then become the best you. And then it means that there is no competition between you and them, because your only competition is the previous you. But we're not speaking about life. We're speaking about career. So as it pertains to career, don't fall into the hype of career envy. Don't even allow it to seep in. Just do your thing. Do your thing very well. Yeah? All right. That leads into my 4th point. Oh my gosh. I love this point. Did you know if you do good stuff, people will pay you for it? When I say good stuff, be an expert in your field. Be a master of your craft first. The accolades that many of us look for, and I say many of us because, listen, I'm part of this. I'm not speaking any of these things to go, I've mastered this stuff, you people are struggling. No, these are daily walks for me. The place that I want to be is at the end of mastery. It is asking the Lord for grace and excellence, but it is sitting down and taking time. I'm going to caveat slightly. I believe that there are 3, I call them 3 levels of motivation, but they're not really, because one of them is motivation. But there are 3 things, 3, not levels of activity. There are just 3 mindsets you can be in. I call the first one inspiration. You can be inspired to do something. And inspiration is short term. Inspiration is about something has happened which has triggered me to think in a certain way or do a certain thing. But like I said, it's short term. It's in the moment. I'm inspired. I'm just going to beast this thing. Yeah, let's go for it. Then there's motivation. Now, motivation is, it's closely linked to inspiration, but motivation is a bit more medium term. So for example, I'm motivated to lose 50 pounds. It's not inspiration because I don't need to be daily inspired to do that thing. I am motivated to hit a particular goal. So it's definitely goal orientated. But the caveat about that is that once you meet your goal, the motivation for that thing can dwindle because it was short to medium term, and it was go in, motivated, boom, done. Many of the goals that we set, we require motivation for. And once we hit the goal, we tick it off, and now we require motivation for something else. The third one, dedication. Dedication is not motivation. Dedication is about, I am committed to this thing regardless. I have made it part of my life to pursue this thing. I will not give up on it. I don't need to be inspired. I don't need to be motivated. I am dedicated. So for example, I'm married. I'm dedicated to my wife. I don't wake up feeling I want to be inspired to be married. I want to be no, I don't. That's not who I am. I have made a dedication to God and to her that I will try every day to become a better husband and to become a better man and be a better example of Christ on earth. And therefore, it is that dedication to his word and that mandate over my life which governs how I operate. Become a master. This is what we are speaking about. It all fits into the same vein. Become a master at your craft. Be dedicated to what it is that you believe God has called you to do. Dedicated. I'm going to keep doing this. Even when I don't feel like it, I'm going to keep doing this. I'm going to keep pushing and striving. Why? So I have a friend. Her name is Dami. And Dami is dedicated to her craft. Whether she gets paid or not, this is what she does. She loves it. She's a photographer, videographer. She's many things. Now, because of her dedication, there is a level of excellence that exists around her. But she generally enjoys it. What does that do? It gets to a stage where people see her excellence and they see the output. They place a value on the output and they pay her in return for her bringing her excellence to their project. That is sustainable growth. If you are going into it with the mindset of actually, I just want to make money. I just want to make money. Amazing, good, but it's short term, and you'll hop around into every fad that you believe can make you money the quickest. Whereas if you go in and say, I want to become excellent at this thing because I love it. I want to master it because I feel it. I feel it running in my veins. This thing is me. You will get to a level of excellence and mastery where people will place a value on it and pay you for it. Super important. Okay, 2 more. My next one. Be an avid reader. Read a lot. Read wide. Read as wide as you can. Everything from biology to coding and development to psychology. I'm not saying that you have to, study each one of these things in detail. But the moment that you start to read wide, you will find causal links between things. And you'll find out that you can actually learn a little bit about everything. I was speaking to a friend and I gave the example of, again, photographer. We were speaking about, imagine if you decided to read, Animal World, or even watch a documentary or listen to an audio book on the way that ducks walk and how they position themselves. Imagine if you're reading something and you're like, I love this shot. I love how they've captured it. I love the fact, the width of the frame. I love how close they went. I love the detail. You may actually take that knowledge into a wedding and be able to take a signature photograph which the bride falls in love with. Now, you actually got that knowledge from learning about ducks. But it was you being able to extract information from it and say, okay, God, you have placed wisdom and knowledge in everything in the world. Because if we honestly believe that God created it, there are mysteries that exist in everything. So you can look at something and feel like, well, that's seemingly small. And God say, but what am I teaching you through that thing? Draw and extract from everything. Read very wide. Sit down at the feet of people who have gone before you. I read memoirs. Memoir after memoir. I love them because I love learning and understanding. Did you know that person, let's say they're 50 years old, 50 years of knowledge, 50 years of failure, 50 years of shame and rejection, but also of the successes that made them available to you. They put it into 300 words and they say, this is my life. Learn from it, grow from it, stand on my shoulders and evolve from what I have taught you. That's so powerful. That's what we see in scripture. We see men and women who went back to say, oh, so this is how they carried the ark into the house of the Lord. That's what I need to do. You see that? Grow from those that have gone before you. Don't fall into the pit and then say, well, at least I know. Experience is a terrible teacher. Knowing and understanding that you can draw from the lives of those that have gone before you. That is the best teacher. We have Jesus. Anyway, I'm not talking about that today. The last point that I want to speak about, be prepared to invest in yourself. How many of us have an investment budget? How many of us honestly say 5% or 10% of my salary, my annual salary, I'm going to spend on myself? I'm going to spend on seminars. I'm going to spend on workshops. I'm going to spend on new equipment. I'm going to spend becoming the best me. Because if you don't, you are doing yourself a disservice. You're doing yourself a disservice. It is so important that you primarily invest in you. Nobody else will. Some people will, out of the kindness of their heart. But you can't rely or depend on others' investment. You must invest in yourself. It's okay to say, I take home £1,000 a month. 50 to £100 of that I'm going to put aside, and I'm going to attend a workshop. That's okay. It's generally okay. I'm going to buy, so for example, I love masterclasses. I love them. Now, many of you may know about the masterclass initiative that they advertise on YouTube all the time. But you have people like Serena Williams teaching tennis. You have Lewis Hamilton teaching about racing. You have Herbie Hancock talking about jazz. You have, who else am I thinking of? You have Hans Zimmer speaking on film scores. These people are masters in their field. Arguably the world's greatest and most established pioneers in their field. And they are speaking for 10 to 12 hours. I did this, this helped me, this didn't help me. And that's an expensive package. But I think it's worth it. I think it's worth you going to those that have gone before you and saying, hey, I will pay you to sit at your feet. As a musician, which I am, I pay a piano teacher who is more skilled than me to sit down and take me through grades, to get me to a level of expertise where I can now teach and impart onto others. Free education is good, especially in the information era that we're in at the moment. YouTube, library books for free, Instagram, wherever it is that you gain your knowledge from. Yes, but pay for knowledge and invest in yourself. Go to the world's greatest. Sit at their feet and know and understand what their objectives are, what their motivations are, how they got to where they got to. So, I've spoken about a few things. My prayer by this is literally that wherever you find yourself, you draw something from it. You may say, that guy Sam's right. I'm going to start investing in myself, and it's okay to do that. You may say, that guy Sam's right. I'm going to work in something that I'm passionate about and try to get paid for something that I love doing anyway. You could say, actually, I feel like I need to level up and get to the next stage. Actually, I feel like I need to sit at the feet of a mentor and know and understand what their motivations are before I try to follow in their footsteps and try to reinvent a wheel that doesn't need to be. That's all I can say to you. Please, learn from my mistakes. I've had to learn these things painfully. I've had to sit at the feet of God, know and understand His heart towards me, and this is what He's taught me. My prayer is that it blesses you. My prayer is that it inspires you. My prayer is that you develop a dedicated life, that you become dedicated in whichever area it is that God has called you to. But my prayer is also that you go further than I ever have, further than any of us ever have. The Alufra team are doing, amazing things trying to bring this content to you, but it's so that you're inspired to do more, to be better than us. We are small fishes in big ponds. God's kingdom is bigger than us. So prosper, even as your soul prospers. In Jesus' name. I love you all. Bye.